Okay, well, happy Thursday to you all. Today is, what is today? The 16th. And we are still in our COVID lockdown. And I'm doing a little different commute today because I have a trunk full of computer junk that has to go back to a client. So, servers, workstations, you name it. Anyway, so, this is just kind of a status update on the channel, and I haven't been posting anything in quite some time because I've been swamped with work, and it's finally starting to calm down a little bit now. And I'm going to try to put up a bunch of older content that I had recorded and get back to writing and vlogging and all that. Fuel low, yeah. You betcha. Anyway, had a few road trips lately that were for work-related purposes, and now I'm going to hopefully not be carting around as much computer equipment, and I'll be able to ride the bikes more. And this car is filthy. Got rained on. So what else is new in Quasi's world? Obviously, I got the car that I was threatening to get several months ago on my scooter ride back from the motorcycle shop when I was riding one of the little electric scooters. I passed a Honda Accord and I said, that's probably going to be my next car. I think that's going to be my next car. What just passed us. I like the look of that Honda Accord Sport. And it is. I couldn't find the white exterior that I wanted with the black interior. Nobody here in Texas seemed to have it. It would have taken a while to order it in, and I got this right out 2 months ago, I guess. And you know, if I had known the COVID thing was coming along, I probably would have waited another month or two, and prices on cars have probably dropped considerably because nobody's buying anything right now. But oh well, I got a good deal on this one. It was about $3,500 under sticker, something in that range. I'd have to go back and look. But I outfitted it with pretty much every potential option you can get from Honda. Extra lighting and, you know, cosmetic effects and things like that. So it's the fully loaded, and that will help whenever I go to resell this thing in a few years. But I usually hang on to most of my cars for at least 7 or 8 years. It's always good to have a fully loaded with all the options when you go to sell it, so holds its resale a bit better. But this is a great car, fantastic. Really good road car too. I've had it out on a couple of 500, 600 mile trips. Yesterday was a 550 mile trip. I had to go to Austin and then down to San Antonio and back. So by the time I was done with everything, it was right under 550 miles. But with lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control, it literally drives itself on the highway. You just have to touch the wheel and give it a little bit of torque every now and then for the computer to not gripe at you. So let's see if we can get over here without getting nicked. And due to our stay-at-home, shelter-in-place, COVID restrictions, all that, everyone is supposed to be wearing face coverings when you're out in public here in Harris County. Travis County, where I was yesterday, it's mandatory. They have issued a mandatory face covering order. So if you don't have, you know, hospital mask or something, you've got to make do. And for me, I've got, you can't see it because the camera's too close to my face, but I've got a neck sock from a motorcycle. So hey, now I'm neck socking it. I look like a bandit. Anyway, let's get out and get some fuel. Alright. Now this car doesn't require premium, but I do put premium in there just because it's turbocharged. Oh, I waited too long. Now I have to unlock the car to get the And there's no fuel cap on this one. It's just one of those push-through. Interesting. So, living life under COVID-19 restrictions. Down here in Houston, Harris County, it's not so bad. We don't have any real draconian measures on you can't travel, you can't go anywhere. It's just, that social contract of, if you don't need to go out, don't go out. Try to maintain social distancing just to minimize the spread of this thing. So, that's what everybody's trying to do for the most part, I think. My industry, computer, consulting, technology, communications, infrastructure, that sort of thing, is considered essential jobs, so I don't worry too much about going around for work. But I'm very careful about what I touch and, not touching my face, of course, following all the common guidelines. So, just kind of waiting this thing out, see how it goes. This thing needs a bath today. That's one drawback about black cars is they show everything. They show dirt, water spots, dust. White is a little less prone to showing all that. And then, of course, here in Houston with all the sun that we get down here in the Gulf Coast, black cars soak up a lot of heat. I've had quite a few black cars over the years, and I tend to like the lighter colored ones just because they're not quite as hot inside after you've left them parked for a while. Don't drip all over me. There it goes. And no lid, just click it closed. Okay, do my mileage recording routine here. Let's see if I can get the camera in there to snag a picture. All right. I do wish this car had Android Auto wireless. It's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but you've got to be cabled in for those. I know some of the more expensive vehicles and some of the newer aftermarket units out there do full wireless Android Auto, which is very cool. Oops, better pause that music or I'm going to get copyright strikes. So I've got this Hero 5 camera on a hat mount attached to the bill of a baseball cap, and I've got it inverted upside down so it is exactly perfectly in line with my eye line. It's just over the bridge of my nose, so I can see around it, past it. I see a little bit of shadow from each eye, but this is, eyeball high for me. So, interesting POV for the Honda Accord. This is a 2020 touring model, 2.0 turbo, and it's really a good car. I read a lot of reviews. I waited, this particular body style came out in 2018, so I wanted to wait a couple years, just make sure that they had shaken out all the bugs from the new redesign. And, it just gets stellar reviews from everybody, and, of course, it's a Honda. It's always one of the best selling. The one thing that I noted in a lot of the reviews for the people that had test driven this and some of the owner reviews was that these 19-inch wheels and tires on the touring model are a little stiff, and people were saying that even with the active suspension that it has, they felt that the ride quality was a little harsher than on some of the lower trim models, and I think that's probably true. I've noticed that some of the bumps in this car can be a little jarring. It seems like it's just overly harsh at some times, but out on the highway it's great, and for the most part, even in town, it does pretty well. But you do have to watch for potholes and pavement seams, because anything with a real sharp attack to it, a very steep rise and fall of whatever that pavement imperfection is, those fast attack bumps tend to jar the suspension a little too much, I think. And these are active dampers, so you would think that it might be able to work that out, or at least be tunable or something, but again, being active dampers means you're gonna have a little harder time replacing them with aftermarket, so I don't know. I'll deal with it as the car breaks in a little bit over, 5 or 10,000 miles. It might soften up a little. And the one thing about the active suspension, whenever I go to sport mode and it firms up the suspension, I do notice that it reduces body roll a tiny bit, but as far as the compliance of the suspension, it doesn't really feel that different to me. I mean, it's not night and day like in a BMW or Porsche or anything else out there that's got the active damper options. Normally when you set those things in sport, they go rigid real fast. Feels like you got solid struts. But this thing is very efficient. This is well, I just reset my clock on, or my trip meter, but I had 400 and something miles on a full tank of fuel, and it was averaging just a little over 30 miles to the gallon, and I wasn't being nice to it for that whole trip yesterday. I was running 80 to 90 most of the way, all the way around, so it's pretty good fuel economy for flogging it. When I had my foot out of it and I was just cruising along at, let's say, 70 on cruise control, on the fuel computer it was showing about 35 miles to the gallon and change, so that's not bad. Not for a 270 horsepower car. Now, I haven't done the chip tuning or anything on this one yet. I'm going to wait for it to get out of break-in, and then I will probably put the Honda Stage 2 and maybe intake for it. I don't think I'll do anything with the exhaust, but I'll probably do a downpipe and let it breathe a little bit better. I'm not sure if I'll change out the intercooler or not. I've looked at the PRL stuff. It looks pretty high quality. But apparently with just very minor stuff, the Honda Stage 2 and downpipe, maybe the intercooler, you can bump this thing up 50 plus horsepower and like 80 pound-feet of torque. So it puts down high 300s on torque. That's just bonkers for a Japanese family car. So here's adaptive cruise and lane keep. I've noticed that the lane keep on it is a little off-center. It tends to ride me more to the left or more to the right instead of being quite centered up in the lane, but overall it does pretty well. The adaptive cruise control is really interesting because it will let you get all the way down to a stop in traffic. So if you're following behind other cars and they slow down, it slows down, but that theme will continue all the way down to 0, and you don't have to touch the brake ever. You just let it do its thing, and it will resume, when the cars move out from in front of you. Pretty neat. I'm too old school though. I can't just leave it alone and let it drive itself. I've always got to be maintaining it. But I fully expect to own this car for, like I say, at least 8 years or so, probably longer. I got the 8-year, 120,000 mile warranty on it. So hopefully if anything goes wrong, it's all covered by warranty and just going about my business. So I don't know how well the HUD shows up in the camera. For me, it's very visible. It has speed limit sign detection. The camera looks for speed limit signs and it will post it on the HUD. You can change the view modes on the HUD. I'll show you that in just a second. But right now on the adaptive cruise control and lane keep options, whenever it shows a full car silhouette in front of you, that means that the radar in the front is tracking another vehicle within your following distance. You can change the following distance with this button right here. That's the longest. Now it's slowing me down because I changed my follow distance. And it's got 5 settings, which gets you progressively closer to the vehicle in front of you. The lane keep assist button is here. So if I want to turn off lane keep assist, now you don't see the 2 bars on the side of the car. What else? We can cycle through the HUD mode here. So this is the HUD button, and you can change what you're seeing. So that's the compass, that's tack and gear position indicator. Now I'm just at speed limit sign and my speed on the right.
Watch out, object on road ahead.
Okay, we got another object on the road ahead. And now it's staggered with speed above and or speed limit above and current speed below, and then now we're back to cruise control and everything. Now if I have a destination plugged into either Waze or the built-in navigation app, it shows me turn-by-turn directions on the HUD, which is kind of cool. Whoa. It did the brake because it saw this truck kind of getting a little close on the lane there. That was interesting. Now if you're on cruise control and you touch the throttle, which gets the little throttle position sensor, you'll see that the speed setting goes away when I barely touch the throttle, because I'm maintaining it, it's not doing it. When you let off, then it reappears. Pretty advanced stuff. Ooh, it is windy out here today. It's odd to feel the steering wheel moving itself under your hand. Every time there's a wind gust, you know, the car is yawing and the lane keep is automatically steering it. He's going to speed up and sit next to me. See how long that lasts for you. It was a quick 95 blast. Let's do a blast in sport here. This thing is a little traction limited on the front, you know, with 300 and something pound-feet of torque and you know, 270-ish horsepower in the front drive. But the torque steer is very manageable. It's almost non-existent. It is there, you can feel it, especially if you're, you know, rounding a corner and you step on it, it'll torque steer a bit, but straight line is pretty good on it. All right, here we go. Traction control lighting up. Without the traction control, it really gets off good. There's 80. And I'm carrying 350 pounds worth of stuff in the trunk. Probably more than that. I got about 12 computers back there. Oh, yeah, just pick a lane. Left, right, left, right. No. What is that, a slalom course? One thing I wish the infotainment screen had was a bigger clock. It does have GPS time up in the upper left corner, but that's pretty small. It'd be nice if it had a bigger inset, or if you could just change the whole thing to a clock. In some of the previous model Honda infotainment systems, if you didn't select any function, they would just revert to a full screen clock, which was kind of neat. Whoa, there's an old land barge. Well, that thing's in good shape. Nice. Okay, somebody left a bunch of trash out in front of my unit. That's not very nice. Alright, well, I've arrived. I'm going to unload all this crap from the trunk. Actually, I'm going to turn around so I don't have to walk around the car so much. And I'm going to drag whoever's crap this is out from in front of my unit, put it in front of theirs. Every time I come here, there's either cars parked in front of my unit, or trash, or junk, or one thing or another. It's a little annoying. Oh well. I can bitch all I want, doesn't fix anything. Okay, mission accomplished. At least mission one. Now I need to bathe this car. It's filthy. lane keep assist on this Honda has a tendency to kind of veer off. It won't follow one line. It wants to try to center you up between whatever space is available. So back there with that exit, as it widened up, it was trying to pull me right toward what would have been the point of the pickets. You have to correct against it. Seems like they need to rethink the logic on that a little bit and follow, if they could recognize what lane you're in, then follow the edge of the lane that's to your left, I would suppose. So cruising along steady state at 75 miles an hour, the tach is indicating that the motor's turning about 1800 RPM. That's awesome. And you know, the fuel economy thing there, I'm trying to angle the camera down and watch the road. The fuel economy thing there shows that it hovers right around 35 steady state, 35 miles per gallon. We're kind of going uphill here, so it dropped, but that's pretty good. 75 miles an hour, turning under 2,000 RPM, and getting about 35 miles to the gallon. All right, well, home again, and I'll give this thing a bath. I do have some more work I need to do this afternoon, so probably do that first. Come out here and do this a little bit later as the sun starts to set a bit. Or I'll just wash it out here in the shade. I don't like washing and drying the cars in the sunlight because they get spotted up so fast. Anyway, thanks for tagging along, and catch you on the next one. Most definitely on a motorcycle.